Hi guys, this is Dr. Rajeshwar from YR Pharma Tube. In this lesson, I will explain the structure-activity relationships and mechanism of action of antihistaminic agents. In the last two classes, we discussed about histamine and the classification of antihistamines. You can find the links below this video in the description. Watch them. Learning objectives of this lesson include the structure-activity relationship of H1 antihistaminic agents and the mechanism of action of antihistamines. Coming to the SAR of H1 antihistaminic agents. All the available H1 receptor antagonists are actually reversible competitive inhibitors of the interaction of histamine with H1 receptors. In other words, they are the inverse agonists that reduce activity of the receptor and compete with histamine. Whereas histamine binding to the H1 receptor induces a fully active conformation, antihistamine binding yields an inactive conformation. At the tissue, the effect observed is proportional to receptor occupancy by the antihistamine. Like histamine, many H1 antagonists contain a substituted ethylamine moiety that is shown here. Unlike histamine, which has a primary amino group and a single aromatic ring, most H1 antagonists have a tertiary amino group linked by a 2 or 3 carbon chain to two aromatic substituents via an X atom. For example, diphenhydramine, which is an ethanolamine. You can see the general formula where AR1 and AR2 are aryl groups and X is a nitrogen or carbon atom or a CO ether linkage to the beta amino ethyl side chain. Sometimes the two aromatic rings are bridged, as in the tricyclic derivatives, or in ethylamine may be part of a ring structure as shown in the structures of diphenhydramine, which is an ethanolamine, chlorpheniramine an alkylamine derivative, pyrilamine an ethylene diamine derivative, chlorocyclizine, which is a piperazine derivative, promethazine, which is a phenothiazine derivative, and loratadine, a tricyclic piperidine derivative. The H1 antihistamines are structurally divided into two groups. The first generation are classical antihistamines and the second generation are non-sedating antihistamines. The differences between the two series of first and second generation antihistaminic drugs are mainly based on sedative and non-sedative property of the drugs. The detailed structure-activity relationship analysis focus on the structural requirements for the first generation agents. The most common H1 antihistaminic drugs are structurally similar to histamine and contains four components. Number 1, they have two aryl groups. Number 2, a connecting group that is X. Number 3, an intermediate methylene group. And number 4, a substituted ethylenamine side chain. As mentioned earlier, structure-activity relationship of H1 antihistamines can be studied under four sections, namely nature of aryl groups, number 2, nature of X, number 3, nature of the alkyl group that is CH2 taken N times, and number 4, the terminal nitrogen atom. Coming to the first section, nature of aryl groups. As shown in the structure, AR stands for aryl group, which is nothing but a phenyl group, that is C6H5. AR1 is aryl including phenyl, substituted phenyl, and heteroaryl groups such as 2-pentyl. AR2 is a second aryl group or aryl methyl group, which means a phenyl ring substituted with a methyl group. The nature of the connecting atom as well as diaryl substitution pattern and the amine moiety has been used to subdivide the first generation antihistamines into various classes such as ethanolamines, propylamines, piperazines, phenothiazines, etc. The most important point to be remembered here is the diaryl substitution pattern that is present in both the first and second generation antihistamines is essential for significant H1 receptor affinity. Furthermore, SAR studies suggest that the two aryl moieties must be capable of adopting a non-coplanar conformation relative to each other for optimal interaction with the H1 receptor. The two aromatic systems may be linked as in the tricyclic antihistamines, for example phenothiazines, dibenzocycloheptanes and dibenzocycloheptines, but again they must be non-coplanar for effective receptor interaction. Most H1 antagonists contain substituents in one of the aryl groups, usually benzene, and these influence antihistamine potency as well as biodisposition. Nature of X. X is a connecting atom of oxygen, carbon or nitrogen atoms. This X also differentiates the classes of antihistamines. If X is carbon, they are alkylamines or propylamines. If X is nitrogen, they are ethylene diamines, and if X is oxygen, they are amino-alkyl ethers. In this way, X can differentiate different classes of antihistamines. The X connecting moiety of typical H1 antagonists may be a saturated CO moiety or simply a carbon or nitrogen atom. This group along with the carbon chain appears to serve primarily as a spacer group for the key pharmacophoric moieties. The X connecting moiety of typical H1 antagonists may be a saturated CO moiety or simply a carbon or nitrogen atom. This group along with the carbon chain appears to serve primarily as a spacer group for the key pharmacophoric moieties. Many antihistamines containing a carbon atom in the connecting moiety are chiral and exhibit stereoselective receptor binding. For example, in the phenyramine series and carbinoxamine, this atom is chiral, shown in asterisk or star symbol in both the structures, and in vitro analysis indicate that enantiomers with the S configuration have higher H1 receptor affinity. In the structures, phenyramine is an alkylamine in which X is carbon, and in carbinoxamine the X is carbon and that is connected to oxygen atom. Thus, carbinoxamine is belonging to amino-alkyl ethers. Both the compounds contain AR2 as 2-pyridyl heterocyclic ring system, and AR1 is phenyl in phenyramine and chlorobenzene in carbinoxamine. The tertiary nitrogen possessing dimethyl groups on a 2-carbon side chain, that is ethyl group. Number 3. Nature of the alkyl group, that is CH2 taken n times or the spacer. The carbon chain of typical H1 antihistamines consists of 2 or 3 carbon atoms. The CH2 taken n times group and connecting atom results in a distance between the central point of the diaryl ring system and the terminal nitrogen atom in the extended conformation of the antihistamines ranging from 5 to 6 angstroms. A similar distance between these key moieties is observed for those antihistamines with less conformational freedom. In some series, branching of the carbon chain results in a reduction of antihistaminic activity. However, there are exceptions as evidenced by promethazine, which has greater activity than its non-branched counterpart. When the carbon adjacent to the terminal nitrogen atom is branched, the possibility of asymmetry exists. However, stereoselective H1 receptor antagonism typically is not observed when chirality exists at this site. Also, in compounds which possess an asymmetrically substituted unsaturated carbon chain, for example in pyrobutamine and triprolidine, one geometric isomer typically displays higher receptor affinity than the other. As both the compounds pyrobutamine and triprolidine possess a double bond, which is unsaturated carbon chain, they exhibit geometrical isomerism. And number 4, the terminal nitrogen atom. A basic terminal amine function which in many of the first generation or classical antihistamines, the nitrogen atom is a simple dimethyl amino moiety. The amino nitrogen may also be part of a heterocyclic structure as illustrated by the piperazines, some propylamines such as pyrrolidines and piperidines, some phenothiazines and dibenzocycloheptanes, and the second generation antihistamines. In all cases, the amino moiety is basic, pKa ranging from 8.5 to 10 and thus is protonated when bound on the receptor. The amine moiety is also important in the development of stable solid dosage forms through salt formation. Generally, the first and second generation antihistamines are substantially more lipophilic than the endogenous agonist, that is histamine, or the H2 antagonists. This lipophilicity difference results primarily from the presence of the two aryl rings and the substituted amino moieties, and thus may simply reflect the different structural requirements for the agonist versus antagonist action at H1 receptors. The nature of the connecting moiety and the structural nature of the aryl moiety have been used to classify antihistamines. Furthermore, variations in the diaryl groups, X connecting moieties, and the nature of substitution in the alkyl side chain or terminal nitrogen among the various drugs account for differences observed in antihistaminic potency as well as pharmacological, biodisposition, and adverse reaction profiles. The ability of these drugs to display an array of pharmacological activities is largely because they can interact with H1 receptors throughout the body and that they contain the basic pharmacophore required for bonding to muscarinic as well as adrenergic and serotonergic receptors. The relationships of antihistamine structure to these overlapping actions, that is H1 antihistaminic, anticholinergic and local anesthetic property, have been analyzed. Coming to the mechanism of action of antihistamines. Antihistamines are structurally related to histamine. These antihistamines occupy the same receptor sites similar to histamine and prevent the action of histamine on target tissues. The figure illustrates the action of antihistaminic drugs. H1 receptor antagonists bind to H1 receptors. This prevents histamine from binding to its receptors and acting on target tissues. Thus, the drugs are effective in inhibiting vascular permeability, edema formation, bronchoconstriction, and pruritus associated with histamine release. They do not prevent histamine release or reduce the amount released. With respect to the antihistaminic activity, at resting stage, H1 receptors in a tissue are thought to be in an equilibrium between the inactive and active state with respect to the agonist target enzyme. In other words, there is some degree of constitutive activity associated with these receptors without the presence of histamine. The presence of histamine in the tissue shifts the equilibrium towards the active state. In the presence of a H1 antihistamine, the equilibrium shifts towards the inactive state. The histamine released by the mast cells binds with histamine receptors such as H1, H2, H3 and H4 to elicit a series of reactions that mediates the characteristic responses through a second messenger systems. The histaminergic receptors are G protein coupled type. H1 receptors are coupled to phospholipase C and their activation leads to the formation of inositol phosphate, that is IP3, and diacylglycerol, which is abbreviated as DAG, from phospholipids in cell membrane. IP3 causes rapid release of calcium from endoplasmic reticulum. Diacylglycerol activates the protein kinase C. Altogether, the turnover of calcium and protein kinase C activates calcium and calmodulin dependent protein kinase and phospholipase A2. The antihistaminergic, that is H2 antagonist, binds to the H1 receptors and decreases the production of phospholipase C and their activation to form IP3 and DAG, thereby blocks the characteristic response of histamine. Histamine on H2 receptors produces cyclic AMP dependent protein kinase, that is 3-5- cyclic adenosine monophosphate, to elicit a response in the gastrointestinal tract. The H2 antagonist reversibly binds the H2 receptors and reduces the cAMP formation, which is responsible for the activation of proton pump and subsequently reduces the gastric acid formation in the GIT. H3 receptors are also G protein coupled receptors. unlike H1 and H2, and they produce a decreased calcium influx. H3 receptors function as feedback inhibitors for histamine and other neurotransmitters by decreasing the calcium influx into the cells in the CNS and GIT. They reduce the secretion of gastrin and downregulates histamine through autoregulatory effects. Blocking H3 receptors antagonize this effect, but the clinical extendability is narrow for H3. These are the sources of this lecture. Here we end the lesson of structure-activity relationship and mechanism of action of antihistamines. We continue with H1 receptor antagonists in the next lesson. Keep learning and keep watching my videos. Thank you for watching this video.